Okay, we're going. Let's see. There's Sue from Wellington, New Zealand. Welcome. We got Iowa, Nevada, England, Canada, Massachusetts, Idaho, another Canada, Texas, Ohio. Great. Well, welcome everybody. So today's webinar, today's RootsMagic webinar is on media and pictures. And to just introduce myself, my name is Michael Booth. I'm one of the developers of RootsMagic, and with us is the bearded Roots magician himself, Bruce Busby. And let's see, let's just go ahead and just dive right in. For the people who are participating on YouTube, you can go ahead and if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Those of you on Zoom, you can use the chat or the Q&A feature to ask questions. So let's get started.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and share my screen here. And the host is disabled participant screen sharing. So Mike has to give me permission to share my screen.
There you go. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, so here we are. We're in RootsMagic 8, and as Mike mentioned, we're gonna talk about working with media and pictures, that type of thing. And it's pretty straightforward. So let's just jump right in. There's several places that you can work with your media. One is from the media tab over here on the left, and if you click on that media tab, it will open up your thumbnails and display all the media you have. Now, hopefully yours is not like this sample database I have, which is full of these little red X's. Okay, these little red X's, basically what that means is that you have linked, your database is linked to a picture or a media item that is not where RootsMagic thinks it is anymore. So in other words, you may have moved the picture to someplace else, you may have renamed it, any number of different things. And so if you do run into this, the RootsMagic does have a way to fix that for you. You just go up into the menu on the media and you choose this item, fix broken media links. Now, media is not necessarily just pictures. As you can tell from looking at these little icons here, your media can be a PDF file, it can be a Word document, it can be almost any type of file that can be displayed on your computer. And when you add one of these, when you add a picture to RootsMagic has the code built in to display pictures. So JPEGs and PNGs and all the different file formats of images, RootsMagic has all that code built into it. And it needs that code to be able to do things like display pictures on a report and things like that. If you add media like a PDF or a Word document or something like that, RootsMagic does not have the code built into it to display those, because those are actually considered documents rather than a picture. So a picture is basically just an image that can be displayed, whereas a document may have multiple pages. You know, it's more than just a picture to be displayed or printed. It can have multiple pages, it can have pictures actually within the document. And so when RootsMagic, when you add any of these media items to a RootsMagic file, RootsMagic does not store that picture or that PDF file or that Word document or that whatever. It does not store that inside of the database. That would make your database just blow up, be huge, and you would just be asking to have corruption issues with that. So when you add a picture or a document to your RootsMagic media gallery here, RootsMagic links to that picture or that document. And so if you happen to move that picture or rename it after RootsMagic's linked to it, that's when you would get these little X's that basically say this picture is not where RootsMagic thinks it is. So like, for example, if I select this census record right here, I can see over here what the file name, it's this long thing. I can see where RootsMagic thinks this file is, but it's not. And part of the reason is because this is a database that I got from somebody else. This actually isn't my database. So they gave me the database, but didn't give me the media. And so the media it thinks this media is somewhere on this person's computer. Now, if the person had given me the media also, let's say they gave me a zip file with all the media in it, I could put that media into a folder onto my hard drive and then go up here and do this fix broken media links. Okay, and when you do that, it's telling me there's 272 media files with broken links in here. And it's asking me, where do I want to search for these missing media files? Now, if I have no idea where they are, I can just select all drives and folders and then choose search for the missing files. And RootsMagic will go through in this case, it will go through very long searching all your hard drive, all your folders and everything, trying to find these files. Now, in order to find the files, they have to have the same name they originally did. If you changed the file name, Fix Broken Media Links is not going to help you. It's only going to help you if you've moved it to a different folder. Now, in the situation I mentioned where somebody gives me a database and then gives me a zip file with a bunch of pictures, I can put those pictures in any folder I want on my hard drive. Let's say I put them in C:\temp. Well, if that's where I put them, then rather than telling this to search all drives and folders, I would tell it I want to search in a selected driver folder, and I would tell it to search C:\temp. I could click the little folder to open up a folder selector to the folder selector to go actually select that folder. Now, there's also an option, search subfolders for media. That's useful if the pictures that you have are not all just sitting in one folder. If you've got subfolders created, to organize your media, then you're going to want it to search the subfolders to look for media as well. You may have subfolders for each surname or for each state or for each, however you organize your pictures, you might have subfolders. And so that's what that option is for, is that it will search C:\temp, but it will also search / everything under that C:\temp as well. Okay, I'm not going to do it like I say, because it can take a while to go through and search for those. On the other hand, another way you can do this is if you've taken your pictures and they were all in one folder, and let's say you renamed the folder, or you moved all the pictures to a different folder. Well, you can still do that fix broken media links and wait for it to go through and search for all of them to relink them up. But if you moved it from, say, C:\temp to H:\temp, let's say you put it on a different drive, but you use the same folder, another way to do that is under the menu, there's an option called search and replace. And if you choose search and replace, search and replace will work on a bunch of different things, but if you call it from here, from the media page, it will automatically default to multimedia file names. And so you could do something like, say, search for C:\temp and replace that with H:\newtemp, whatever the folder name is that you put it. And it can be even longer than that. But when you do this and then click OK, RootsMagic is going to search through all those multimedia file names, and everywhere it finds C:\temp, it's going to replace it with this. And so that's a good way if you've just moved all your pictures from one place to another. This is way faster, a way faster way to do this, to fix up your broken media links, because RootsMagic's not having to go search for one file at a time. It's just going and looking at the actual path name and fixing them all kind of at once on the fly. Okay, now when you're looking at your media page here, you actually have two different views. You have the thumbnail view, and this is going to give you a fairly large-ish thumbnail view of the various pictures that are with your database. Or you can get this media list view. And what that does is gives you just a real tiny little image, and then will show you the name of the file and the title, the caption that you gave the file, and the file name. And if it only has one or the other, it's only going to show you that. Now, instead of putting the X on each of these, if that link is broken, like you saw before, it will show you right here that there is a broken link. And so you can spot the broken links here. If a link is broken, you can, besides doing the fix broken media links, you can come over here to file name and actually go and change the file name right here. You can manually do that. If you got a lot of files, that can take forever and can get really annoying really quick. So, but that is an option. You'll also notice that when you select a media item, whether it's on the thumbnail view or the list view, the media list view, that if it's missing over here, you'll see it's also going to show you right here that the media file is not found. Now, if the media file is not found and I click on that image, you're going to see nothing comes up because it can't find it. But if the media is one that's not, the link's not broken, you'll see that little warning is not there. And if I click on the view image, it will open that image, that thumbnail up. It'll open up the full resolution copy of the image. And I can, at this point, I can zoom in or out using the plus or minus, or I can use the little wheel on my mouse. So as I spin the little mouse wheel in or out, it will zoom in, and the scroll bars will show up. So this is really useful for documents, for census records, things like that, because these thumbnails, as you can see, these thumbnails are not going to let you see any detail at all. But if you click on it here and then zoom in, you will be able to zoom in as far as you need to see all the details about whatever is written in that document. Now, like all the other feed items in this, sources, media, or the sources, the tasks, the people, editing people, when you highlight one of these media items, over here on the right, you can edit a number of pieces of information. So for example, if I select this one right here, I can come over here, and the media type is an image. Okay, and there's 4 different types of media types. And I mentioned these earlier. The image, that's basically a picture, and that's going to be something that's a PDF, a JPEG, or not a PDF, a JPEG, a PNG, so on. File is going to be something that's like a document. That can be a PDF, that can be a Word document, a docx file, that can be whatever. And then you also have sound and video. So, you can have, MPEGs, you can have, AVIs, all the different kinds of media MOV files, all the different kind of media sound and video files, and you can keep those within the media album for the program and for the person. Now, when you have those, whether it's a file, sound, or video, if you click on those items, instead of opening it up in the viewer, it's going to open the file up in the program it belongs to. So for example, if you have a PDF file and I were to click on that, if it actually was there, it would actually open that PDF file up in Adobe Acrobat or whatever program you use to view PDF files. If it's a Word document, it will open up in Microsoft Word. If it's if it's whatever file, it uses the program that is, the word is associated, that's associated with that file type. So you may have you may have a PDF file, but if you've got some other viewer other than Acrobat to view the PDF, it will use that file, that program that you use, because it asks the operating system, hey, whatever program this user uses to open that file, open it up in that file. Okay, so you're able to see that. Okay, now in addition to that, you can also edit other information over here, like the file name. And if you click on that, you'll have a little thing where you can bring this up and and select your file and change it that way. You can enter a caption. That's a brief, like, one line type of thing, like you might have as a small caption. If you had it in a scrapbook, it might be a caption underneath the picture. You can also have a description, and that description, when you click on that, that opens up the note editor. So you can put as much as you want to. There's only so much that can be printed in various reports of the descriptions, but you can enter as much as you want on the description. You have a date field, and the date field is completely up to you. We are not defining it. We just put a field in and we called it date. And so you can use it for whatever use you want. It can be the date the picture was taken. It can be the date you added it to RootsMagic. It can be the date that the picture was found, whatever. You can use that date field for anything that you feel like you need. And it's optional. You don't have to use it. And then the last option that you have is for the reference number. And again, that's totally user definable. If you have a numbering system, for example, that you use to store the actual physical copies of these pictures, you can put that number in there. And it doesn't have to be a number. It can be, that reference number can be brown, the brown box on, brown box on the desk, or it can be file cabinet number 3, drawer 2, whatever. It can be just a description that tells where that picture is at. So you can use it for whatever you want. The last item here under other is your tags. Now, when you add a picture to RootsMagic, that picture is only going to really be stored once in the file. And if you use it multiple times, RootsMagic's just going to point every place you use it to that same picture. And that's what we call tags. So if I click on tags, I can see there's 2 people that are using this picture. And if I want to add another picture, let's say I've got a family picture and it's got 20 people in there and I want to add each one of them, I can have that picture right there, and I can click on add another tag, and I can add more tags or more links to that picture. And I'm not limited to just people. By default here, the tag type is going to be person. And so if it's person, when I click on person, it brings up my RootsMagic Explorer, and I can go select anybody I want. I can go pick a person and select them, and I can add a comment about this. So I can say he was the 3rd person from the left. Okay, this comment is unique to this tag. It's not unique to the picture. The picture has its own description area, but this is unique to this particular tag. So I can say he was 3rd from the left. Okay, if I'm adding it to a picture, I can also say this is his primary photo. And his primary photo, that's the one that you're going to see in reports, narrative reports, pedigree charts, things where if you're going to print a report. It's also going to be the one you're going to see as you move around from person to person. It's going to be that picture. You can also choose whether to include this in the scrapbook for the person. So when you go to print a scrapbook for a person, we'll show you that in just a bit. You can choose which pictures that are attached to him or her in the scrapbook. So if you add a picture and you don't want it in the scrapbook for some reason, you just uncheck that right there. So I go ahead and click OK. And I now have 3 people. And if I want to edit that, I can come in here. If I decide he was actually the second one, I can edit that. I can do whatever. Okay, but as I mentioned, and if I need to delete one of these, if I want to remove a tag, somebody's tag from it, I highlight that and I click the little minus. Do I want to remove this tag? Now the picture will still be in my database. I'll still have the picture. All it's doing is unlinking this person from that picture. Now I'm going to go back here to add and show you that, as I mentioned, you're not limited to just tagging people. So for example, if I've got a family, I can tag a family. If I select family, then when I click on select family, it brings me up my family to choose which family I want to tag to this. Or I can choose an event. If I choose an event, then I have to choose 2 things. I have to choose the person, and then I have to select which event in that person's life. So if I go say select a person, and I'll just go pick somebody right down here, and then I can say select an event, and it's going to show me all the events in that person's life, and I choose which one of those events. And if it's his death, if I want to attach that to his death, I can do that. And I've now, right here, you'll notice instead of saying person, it says event and has the person's name and which event it was. Okay, I can also, besides events, I can also do sources, citations. Sources, you just choose the source. Citations, you choose the source and then the citation for that source. You have places. Okay, you have place details. Again, if you choose place details, you have to select the place and then the place detail. And then you also have tasks. Okay, all right, there you have tasks and you can go select the task. So you can attach all kinds of things or tag all kinds of things to a picture. So you may have a picture, let's say you have a family picture, you can attach that picture to the family that it belongs to. You can say this is a picture of John Smith and Mary Jones's family. You can attach that picture to each member of that family. If you knew that picture was taken in a particular city, you could actually attach it to the city. You could attach the picture to the city. If you knew it was in a particular church within a city, you could attach it to the place detail for that. And again, same thing with sources and citations and all of those. You can attach as many things as you want to each picture. And so when you come in here and select it, you'll see now we have 4 tags instead of the 2 that we started with. Okay, now by default, this list, I'm going to show you, it's easier to tell from here. This list, you can tell right now, is sorted by the file name. So it has, there's all the numbers, and then it's the A's and B's and C's and so on. If you want to sort the list, and this works for either the media list or the thumbnails, just click this button. It just switches the sort order back and forth. So right now it's sorting by file name. If I click on that, now it's sorting by the actual caption. And so all the media items that don't have a caption yet, they obviously come first. And then it starts going into the caption, it kind of ignores the file name at that point. So it depends on which way you prefer to see them. If you prefer to see them by file name, you can do that. If you prefer to see them sorted by caption, you can do that as well. Okay, now we can also, from the media view, we can filter. And that's what the little search box up here is for. So if I want to find all the media items that have tombstone, Tombstone, okay, and here's all the files, the images, here's all the media items that either have the word tombstone in the file name or in the caption. Okay, so when you enter your caption, if you put the word tombstone in everything where you've got a tombstone, you can do that. If you wanted to search for census, okay, any media item that has census in it is now filtered. You filtered to show only those. So you can use that to filter your list, to kind of narrow it down to see just the particular items you want. Okay, how about adding a media? Now, normally I add media from usually when I'm working on a person, but you can add media from the media album here as well, the media gallery as well. When you click on the plus to add media, you're going to have two different ways to add media. Okay, you're going to have the old-fashioned way, and that is add new media. And you can choose, is this media image, is it a file? So like if it's a PDF, change that to file. Is it a sound clip or a video clip? You set that media type. Then you enter the file name. And if you happen to know the full path name, you can type C:/ blah, blah, blah. If you don't, you can come over here and click on this, and it will open this up, and you can go to wherever you got your picture stored, select the picture. That will add the picture. Then you can add your caption, your description, date, and reference. Okay, so that's one way to add media from the media gallery here. The other one is to drop the new media. And if you select that, you're going to see an item right here that says drop media files here. So if I go and open up, if I open up the my Explorer, my Windows File Explorer window, I can click on a person, and when I click and drag, when I drag that person over this, you'll notice that little circle with a slash. You'll see that little circle with a slash. When that arrow gets into this area, you'll see it changes to copy, and that little arrow starts going up and down like drop it right here. Okay, and when I drop that, you'll see down here where it says 0 media items, you'll see that change to 1. Okay, and I can add a couple of them. So I can go grab another one, drag it over. Now there's 2. So there's 2 media item files that I've just added. And when I click close, it's now added those. There's one of them, and the other one is wherever the other one is. It's in there somewhere. Okay, but it lets me add multiple pictures at once. Now, one thing I should mention is that right now on some computers, when you do this drop new media and you drag a media item, you don't see it change. It stays at that circle slash. It has to do with the scaling. If on your version of Windows, that doesn't affect the Mac, it only affects Windows. If you've gone in and set your scaling to some really high number, to some really high scaling number, it can make it's broken for now. The next update, we've got that fixed in the next update, so don't worry about that. So if it's not working right now, it will be working in the next update. And so we have taken care of that. I just wanted to mention that, so if you go in and try that you don't immediately try to call or contact our tech support and saying, hey, Bruce showed this and it didn't work. It has, like I say, it has to do with Windows being scaled at a really high percentage. It can cause, what it does is it causes this drop area to be invisibly moved to someplace else on the screen. Like if you move way up in a corner, then it shows up there, and it's annoying, but like I say, it's fixed in the next update. Okay, so and I can also if I go in, I can actually pick, like if I pick more than one item, I don't have to drag one item at a time. I can go, like if I select these 3, let's say I select these 3 items, and I can select more than one. If you're not familiar with it, when you're in File Explorer, if you click on a place or click on a picture, if you want to highlight a second picture, hold down the Control key and then click. And then that will leave the original one and the new one. And so you can just hold down the control key and click whatever you want, and you can have multiple items. And when I then click and drag that over, you're going to see the little 3 in the box. And when I drop that, it has added 3 items. So you can drag over a whole bunch of items into your, I mean, if you wanted to add a whole folder worth of pictures to your media gallery all in one shot, you can go into here, do your Control A to select all the pictures, and then click and drag them all over here, and then that'll drag them all over in all at one time. Okay, so let's go ahead. There's a couple of things in the menu we'll talk about. Remove selected media. Okay, if I click on a media item, I can either click on the little trash can or remove selected media. If I do that, it's going to remove that media item totally from my file. And if I've got 30 different things tagged to it, it's going to untag those. It's going to take that tag off of everybody, but it's going to remove it completely. That's what's going to happen if you do it from the media gallery here. Okay, if you want to remove the links, you can either go into the tags and delete those tags, and that removes the links and leaves the picture in, or you can go in to the edit person screen or the edit place screen or whatever and remove the picture from there, and that will also break the links. If I want to just get a picture, if I just want to get a copy of this picture, I just click on print media. That opens up the report engine with the picture enlarged to whatever size you want. You can choose whether you want the caption and the description. And if you want comments tagged to the picture, but if you remember, I showed you that one, it said, John Smith, or whatever, was the 3rd person from the left. If I leave this checked, it's going to print all of those kind of comments with this picture as well. So it might have John Smith is the 1st person from the left, Mary Jones is the 2nd person from the left. It'll print all of those, and you can turn those on or off. You can go and choose all your fonts and your sizes and everything, and then just go ahead and print it or save it to file, whatever you want to do. Okay, so you have that as an option. Fix broken media links, we showed you that. View the selected media, that just opens it up in the viewer. That's exactly the same as clicking the image right here. Build thumbnails. Okay, if you've got pictures that have come over that, like, you've imported a file and it's linked to pictures already, but it doesn't have thumbnails, Build Thumbnails will take care of that. It'll build these thumbnails for you. Okay, search and replace, I showed you that. And then the final one is showing tasks for the selected media. And we'll actually talk about that when we do our webinar on tasks. But suffice it to say, what that does is whichever picture you have highlighted, this will switch you over to the task page and show you a list of any tasks that are tied to this picture. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hop back to the person screen, and let's go into a person. Let's go into a person here, into their screen. Oh, actually, let me bail back out. As I mentioned, if you select a picture as the primary picture for a person, that's the picture that's going to show up, like right here on their pedigree or their family. It's also going to show up right here. Now, to make a picture the person's primary picture, you can do like we did and go into the media gallery, media page, find that picture, go into the tags, and find that person in the tags and edit that tag, and then check that checkbox that says make this the person's primary picture. Okay, you can do that, but anybody in their right mind would not want to. So if I want to change a person's primary picture, all I have to do is come right here and click on the picture right here that's displayed, and it will bring up the view image, and I can select a new primary photo, or if I don't want a primary photo at all, I can clear it. So that's all I have to do. Click that, select the new image, click OK, and that becomes the person's new primary. I don't have to go through all of that, getting into the tags, editing the tag, changing, clicking the checkbox. I don't have to do any of that. It's automatically. Now, when I open the person's edit screen, it's also going to show their primary picture here. And this works exactly the same way as it did on that other screen. If I click on that, I can change the person's primary picture from right here as well. Okay, so now when we're working with a person, you'll notice that there's a column right here that has the little media icon on it. This column is for the media, and this is going to let me see the media that's attached to each individual piece of information. So for example, if I'm highlighting the person row, and I can see right there that I've got a media item, when I highlight that, I can see I have two media items attached to this person. And if I click on that, I can see the two media items. I can click on one, and this is almost exactly the same as when we were on that media view. I can come and I can modify the caption, the description, the date, the reference number. I can modify any of those. Keep in mind though, that if I have more than one item right here down below tagged, which I don't, in this case, I only have one, but if that number is greater than one, that means if I change that caption or that description, it's going to change for everybody that's linked to it, because this caption, this description, the date, the reference number, those are tied to the picture itself. They're not tied to the linking of the picture. That was, as we showed you, that was in the tags, and we can do that here too. We can go into the tags, we can see him because he's the only one that's tagged to it. We can edit that, and this is where we can, enter comments or do whatever. This is where we can actually modify that actual tag information as opposed to the general information about the picture. Okay, if I look down here, I can see besides the person, I don't have any other pictures attached to this person. It's just all the general ones. Okay, if I want to add a picture to the birth or the marriage, let's go in here, and I'm going to highlight the marriage. There's no media here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide that in, and I can see that there's no media attached to the marriage. Okay, and I can see marriage right here. So I'm going to say I want to add media. And when I add media, this brings up almost that same screen we saw when we were in the media gallery. The difference is there's a third item. There's the add new media. That's where we type it all in and select the file. We've got the drop new media. That's where we drag and drop it. We have a new item called select existing media, and that is where we bring up a list and show you all the media that you've already got in the database. And again, you can filter it down, but we can pick any one of these pictures that's already in the database and select OK. Okay, and we've now added that media item. We've selected an existing media item and we've added that. So if I look at this now, okay, you can see, here's this item that was already in there. It's not his primary picture, but I could, if I click this, I could change it to his primary picture or do that up here in the corner. And then I can see the tags right there. Okay, so that, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to add another media item for the marriage. And rather than saying select existing media, I'm going to drop new media. And then I'm going to bring this up, and let's find a church. Well, we'll find something that looks like a church. Okay, and so maybe that's the church that they, I just bring that, drag and drop that, and now with the marriage, I have a picture of of whoever, but I also have a picture of a place, a church. I can click on that. I can go down here and I can see this. I can come down here and tag this. It's tagged to this marriage now. You can see it's tagged to the marriage, but I could actually go in here and I could tag it to, something besides the marriage. I could go attach it to a place detail, so I could go select the place and select the church. If the church is entered as a place detail, I could add that as well. Okay, and so the media that works on the person, it works spouse, parents, it works on any of the events, and it also works on names. Okay, so if I happen to have an alternate name, if I've got something that basically demonstrates that alternate name, I can attach a picture to the names as well. So there's not really much of a limit as to what you can attach these pictures to. Again, if I want to remove the picture, if I decide, you know, I don't really want this picture, I'm happy with the church, but I don't want this picture, I just slide it in, click delete. It asks, do I want to remove the media from this record? And I say yes, and it's removed that picture. So the marriage only now has the one picture. I didn't delete that picture from the file. It's still there. All I did is said that picture is not attached to this person's marriage anymore. Okay, so I'm going to hop out of here now, and we're going to go into one last area here, and that's in reports. Now, in the reports, a number of the reports will support pictures. So if I come in here, if I want to do a, who am I highlighting? Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so if I come in here and, for example, I say I want to do a family group sheet. Okay, you're going to see options like, do you want to print photos of each person? Do you want to print a family photo at the top of the page? Now that's only going to work if you've attached a photo to the family. As I mentioned, you can tag those photos to people or families. So if you've tagged a family picture to the family, you can choose this option and it will put that family picture at the top of your family group sheet. So you select whatever options you want, generate the report. And now any people that have a picture, that picture will show there on the family group sheet. And like I say, that works on any number of these. You have the scrapbook. You have the scrapbook that you can do, and you can do a scrapbook for a person, for families, for sources, for places, whatever. You generate it and it'll show you the pictures that you have attached to this person. You can get fancy with this. You can go in here and like box border. You can come in here and your box border can be fancy frame or fancy frame 2. Okay, and when you select one of them, you'll see the corner. The corner is what looks different on the various frames. So I can put the little thing. I can change the line color. So if I wanted it to be red, you know, I can do that. And now I've got red fancy corner 2 or fancy frame 2. I can change the fill color. So if I want that fill color to be, you know, to be some kind of greenish thing, some hideous color here, I can do that. So you can customize like this is pretty much as much as you want right here. You can also choose how many rows or columns. So depending on how big you want the picture, you can say I only want 1 column and only 2 rows, in which case you're going to get 1 column and 2 rows. So you'll get 2 pictures per page. You'll get 1 above and 1 below. Boom, there's your length. So you can adjust these however you want to put as many or as few rows and columns, or as many or as few pictures on there as you want. One last thing I'm going to show you here, and that is the media list, the multimedia list. And what the multimedia list does is you choose which items you want. And so if you leave everything checked, you're going to get all of the people that have media, all the families, all the events, sources, citations, places, place details, pretty much every single thing that has media items. And then you can choose whether you want just the photographs, whether you want the file or documents, the audio, video, and then you're going to generate the report. And the reason I want to show you this is when this generates it, one of the things it's going to show you, let me zoom in a bit here. I'll close that down and zoom in a little bit here. One of the things you're going to see is if a file name is not found, it's going to show you that file name is not found right there. And it's going to put it in a square bracket with an asterisk, not found. So what you can do is if you're wanting to get a list of all the media that is not linked to all those broken links, you can generate this media list, and then you just come up here and you save it. So you can save it to a PDF, and then you can open a PDF in one window side by side with the program, and so you can see them all. You can save it to an Excel file, to a spreadsheet. You can save it to a Word document. If you save it to one of those, then it's editable. So what you can do is, as you find each one and fix it, you can, in that Word document, you can then just delete it out of the Word document. And so you can just keep that Word document until you've done everything. So you don't have to necessarily do it in one sitting. You can come back to that Word document and start where you left off. As you fix it, just delete it from the Word document. Okay, so that is an overall view of working with media in RootsMagic 8. So do we have any questions?
Okay, yeah, can you show where in the program settings you can set the media folder?
Oh, okay. Yeah, under settings, and that's the bottom, this little gear, that's the settings for the whole program. There's a thing right here called folders, folder settings. And if you click on that folder settings, this is where you can set a data folder, your backup folder, and your media folder right here. And you can click on the little folder button out here to open up a folder selector to actually select the folder you want. And so if you do that, if you select a folder here, so I'm just going to do a real simplistic one. You're usually not going to have one this simple. You know, normally it's going to be C:/users/ documents / your name, you know, whatever. But I'm just going to use one nice and simple with C:/temp. If you do that, RootsMagic will, from this point on, will use that folder, in this case C:/temp. It will use that folder as the default when you go to add a new picture. If you keep your pictures in this C:/temp, RootsMagic does support relative paths. And so if you use this as your media folder and you keep all of your pictures in this C:/temp, if you move your file and your database and your pictures over to another computer, if you move all your pictures over into that other into some folder that's not necessarily C:/temp, like if you get a new computer, your version of Windows is going to have a different account name, a different username, and so the documents folder isn't C:/documents like it was back in the old days. It has that path, that account name, which kind of messes everything up. But if you keep it in there, if you put this media folder to your new location, it will automatically pick those media items up. So anyway, so that's where your media folder is set. Okay.
Yeah, and just adding on to some questions people are having, you can you can put subfolders in that media folder, and the relative file names will work with those subfolders as well.
Right.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So another thing that people have been asking about, can you show the backup option with the media? Yeah.
When you go to do a backup, okay, and there's two places you can do it. One is when you exit from the program, it'll ask if you want to do a backup. But the other one, if you want to just do a backup whenever you want to, just go to the file menu. You have to have a file open or it won't show up. When you do that, there'll be an option right here to do a backup. It'll show you what your current file is. And when you click backup, it asks for the backup file name. And by default, it's going to use the name of your database, the current date, and then the extension is going to be .rm backup. And you choose where you want it. But there's an option right here, and it's usually unchecked by default, because if you got a lot of media files, this can make it take forever and can also make your backup really huge. But if I were to check this checkbox and do the backup, it's going to include all of those media items in this backup file. So like I say, this backup file, you may not want to do that if you have like 8,000 media items. I mean, it's up to you if you want to, tie up your computer that long, but you can do it. But it will put all those media items in this backup with the database itself. Now, if you do that, when you restore a backup, when you come up here and restore the backup and select the backup you want to restore, what's going to happen is RootsMagic's going to look in that file, and if it sees that there is media in that backup, it's going to tell you, it's going to say, hey, this backup looks like it has media backed up with it. Do you want to restore all those media items as well? So it gives you the option. So you could say no if you just want the database. Or you can say yes if you want all those media items restored. Now, why would you maybe not want to restore the media items? If you've got your database and all you need is the data file and all your images are already on your computer, you don't need to restore them again, and you don't need to sit there and wait for it to take forever to unzip or uncompress all of those media files to restore back onto your computer. So you have the option. Any other questions?
Okay, so yeah, we've answered a lot of them in the chat here. Thanks, Renee. Yeah, so some people have been asking about editing the pictures and things like that.
Okay, yeah. In RootsMagic, in the older versions of RootsMagic, we used to have some kind of simple little media editing features, and it was like sharpen or adjust, kind of colory kind of things. The thing is that in order to do that, cross-platform would require so much work that we basically decided that that editing of pictures really is better left for professional picture editing software. I mean, and you can get software. I mean, there's free software out there to edit pictures, and it just didn't. We basically felt that our time and effort was better spent on the family history genealogy side of things than working on multimedia picture editing functionality. So that's kind of why that we don't in 8 we don't have, like I said, there's multiple things. One, it's better to use a program that's designed specifically for that, and two, having a cross-platform graphic editor that works on Mac and Windows. The libraries just don't really exist for us to do that.
Yeah, well, and one of the suggestions, because RootsMagic doesn't do this right now, is like if you have any other file type, like a Microsoft Word file, you can have RootsMagic launch the program which is associated with that file type. So you can have it open up the Microsoft Word file or the other files, but we don't do that with media. And so, because when you click on media, it brings up the viewer in RootsMagic. So I think there's a suggestion to add a button or something when you're viewing the media to open it up in the associated program, so that then user could edit it. So that is a good suggestion right there.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Well, I had some comments on your sense of humor that you've kept it. So okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Oh, lots of good feedback here. This webinar has answered so many of my questions. That's from Linda. And then Alexander said, I did not understand what he just said. And that was when we were talking about relative path.
Yeah, I had the feeling, because I saw that and I was like, yeah, there's probably relative paths can get confusing, but we've tried to do, we've done relative paths differently than most people, most products. Most products, when they show you the path name, they actually show you some encoded looking thing, that basically like documents path, in square brackets, that the program switches in and out of. We actually just show you what the path is. We do all of the relative magic behind the scenes. So it's something that just know that having relative path name support is nice, and it's a good thing to have, but you don't have to worry about how it works, because it just works.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to organizing your pictures in terms of folders and subfolders, there's no perfect right way to do that. It depends on you and your organization system and everything like that. We don't enforce any one method there. So, okay, well, looks like we're about out of time. So thank you everyone for joining us. And we hope you've enjoyed this look at using media in RootsMagic 8, and have a great weekend.
Bye.